Right on. Here we are, recording with Oliver Morris, composer for Among the Stars and Bones. Hello, Oliver.
Hello. I'm going to do a clap.
Yeah, shout. Clearly, yes.
There we go.
Shout your enthusiasm for this wonderful
Woo!
cultural experience. Once again, this is the video recording, the behind the scenes of, I don't know which episode of How I Make Music, but we're into the hundreds now, which is amazing. We've hit triple figures.
Incredible.
Yeah, and this is the very boring behind the scenes where we hack away at a little script and try and come up with some good audio for the Among the Stars and Bones music, which is what Oliver's responsible for. So I'm looking forward to this. I always love the science fiction stuff. It's like,
yes,
because there's so many. Okay, let's face it. There's so many like science fiction audio dramas, but everyone's got their own take on it. You know, there's like there's the common like lore, but then there's like everyone's got their own take on it. So I'm interested to hear what your take is. Right on, cool. So from here on, why don't you just tell us about Among the Stars and Bones? Just one or two lines of ad lib. Tell us what it's about. And over to you.
So, Among the Stars and Bones is a xeno-archaeological horror show. I kind of got on board with the project after Chris, the writer, he chatted to me about. He was like, "You did the theme for Modern Fae," and I was like, "Yes, I did." And we kind of got to chatting about, whether I'd be interested in sort of scoring the opening for him. And so I didn't know a lot about it other than the fact that it was a xeno-archaeological horror show, which was just the best combination of words that I had heard in a pitch document ever, because you got xeno for aliens and then archaeology. So and he kind of, one of the things that Chris was sort of stressing to me is that this show is a really slow burn in terms of kind of how it sort of all builds up into the chaos at the end of it. And so I was very excited to make this sort of piece of music that sort of was going to build and grow along with the show. And there's not much else to say other than the show itself is about a bunch of xenoarchaeologists who all get together to go investigate this sort of ancient dead alien civilization. They find relics from it, and then they start to get convinced that the relics are kind of controlling them in ways. And I don't want to give too much away because it's really a show that you have to kind of listen to in order to kind of get that sense of, like, any plot points I were to give away would sort of detract from the nature of the show. But it goes to some wild places for sure.
Cool, man. Take us to outer space. Great.
Take us to outer space.
Cool. That's great. I got some good stuff in there. Tell us about yourself, man. Like, musical background. Keep it short.
All right.
Instruments played.
I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I own approximately 27 guitars. I play the keys. I do it all. My intro into composing properly was for my podcast, Kane and Fields Paranormal Investigators, which is
one more time. My podcast.
My podcast that I score is Kane and Fields Paranormal Investigators, a horror noir audio fiction show, which is just very funky from beginning to end. So that's how I kind of got my start in composing. I think I released something like 8 albums last year. I'm a fiend. I make music. I can't stop, is what I found.
Awesome. Sounds like you're addicted to more than just nicotine. That's awesome.
Yes, it's nicotine and music. Those are my 2 vices.
That's great. Cool, man. Some awesome stuff. That's fantastic. And then I'll link all the stuff that you mentioned. I've got a section at the bottom just for anything that you mentioned. So go on, name drop, plug your friends, whatever. You can swear, say whatever you want.
Oh, fuck yes. Okay.
If you refer to the name of the track, just refer to it by name. So be like, this track.
Pandemonium. Yeah.
This track, Pandemonium, that helps be fresh, the idea of the show. Cool. We actually got you chatting a little minute ago about the influences. I've got your Wolf 359 piece, but could I just get you to do one line saying the soundtrack to Wolf 359 was composed by Alan Rody, just to introduce him.
What? Wait, what was his name? Adam Rody.
Alan Rody, yeah.
Alan Rody. Alan Rody. I'm just going to write that down. So we're just going to listen to a track now. The intro to Wolf 359. Welcome to Wolf 359 by Alan Rody.
Awesome. I can use that as a bargaining chip to get him on the show because I've been trying to contact him for months. Yeah, I'm sure he'll do it. He's just dudes are busy. And then you didn't mention Half-Life. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, so this was one of when we started kind of composing, I asked Chris if there's anything he kind of wanted it to sound like, and he was like, well, I do really like the Half-Life video games, and I love the sort of soundtrack of Half-Life, which are these kind of wonderful industrial synthetic beats. I kind of had a limited experience with Half-Life 2 at the time, but kind of delving into the back catalogue of that was a joy when I was kind of doing that sort of initial kind of figuring out of what the sort of the timbre of the piece was going to be like, the timbre of Pandemonium.
Yeah, excellent. I never played Half-Life, but I always like the idea of like the silent radioactive.
Oh, it's great. You just play a scientist.
Yeah.
You play a scientist with a crowbar. It's one of the more bizarre kind of opening concepts to a thing. But then you're like hitting undead zombies with a crowbar, and you know.
Nowadays, any game that I actually have heard of before, I'm like, yes, I like that game. You know, that's what happens when you get like when you start to approach 40. You're like, what do I know? what's still happening in the landscape that started in the 90s? Yeah. Cool. I just remembered, could you just introduce Chris by his full name, the writer? Just say Chris so-and-so is the writer of the show.
Yes, hold on. I need to get his full name up. What? Chris? I know it's Chris. Because I only know I know him as Ungodly Hour because that's the time that he always contacts me. Let me find it. Bones. Where is it? Chris Mallington.
Mallington.
Yeah. Oh no, wait, hold on. I've mispronounced that already. Go me. Chris Maglington? Hold on. I feel really bad. Sorry, Chris. Chris Maglington. Magilton. Chris McGilton. Chris McGilton, the writer, and he also plays Ben Kelleher on the show.
Okay, cool. So just one line. Chris McGilton is the writer of Among the Stars and Bones.
Chris McGilton is the writer of Among the Stars and Bones.
Cool. I like to give them props. Great. Okay, I'm happy with all of that. Can we get down to the breakdown series? So for this section, just go line by line, so you can stop. It'll make my editing life a lot easier if you like stop after one point and then start another one. And then so you basically take the time, say what you need to say. This is the meat of the show, the breakdown section.
Cool. Okay, so the bones of So when I was working with Chris, we came to it very quickly that we were going to need three themes. We were going to need one for the sort of slow build, one for when it starts to get a bit kind of wobbly, and then one for the final show. So initially we called them Patience, Purpose, and Fuck. And eventually we renamed Fuck to Pandemonium, which is the track that we're talking about today. In terms of how it came together, the bones of these sort of three pieces came together very quickly, which is namely the electric piano, which I've done some very strange stuff to it. I think I've put a bit crusher on there. I've put a couple of other, maybe a ring mod or something like this, which is that kind of which is the EP sound, and that's the basis of all three of the tracks. This very slow, meandering, boom, boom, boom. There's probably some magic in the reason that they were kind of that boom, 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 but I can't remember why I did it like that at the time. The other bit was a sort of spaceship drone, which was just this big low humming that we could kind of use to kind of give the piece some bass and body, and then the atonal bubbles, which is as it sounds. I kind of had a bubble synthesizer that I kind of reminds me a bit of the Gorillaz Get the Cool Shoe Shine bubble sound that they have in that. I'm sorry I didn't put that as an influence, but Gorillaz are a huge influence for me.
I know that track. Cool.
Cool. Yeah, and so these atonal bubbles just sort of shift in and out, and then yeah, and then there was a lot of fiddling with the piano, because I liked the sound of a piano in space, because pianos are a really evocative instrument. I don't know why, but they especially when you play a piano high, it just has that beautiful airy sound. And we fiddled a lot with the sort of piano sounds, and kind of going back and forth on kind of you know, what sort of theme works best. And eventually we sort of stuck with this ba-dum bum dum bo-do-do-do, which kind of had a real sense of drama to it, I think, and kind of matched very well with what would sort of come later in the piece.
Sounds a little bit jazzy, actually, what you did.
Yeah, I'm a jazz fiend. I'm a jazz aficionado. I'm a jazz lad, jazz boy.
Wow. It's very brave for an Englishman to say that. You know, the English jazz scene over the decades has had that sort of that rap of like going through a dip and constantly being in a dip but never quite disappearing. You know, whereas the Americans get all the glory, like, yeah, we're the home jazz. I don't know.
Well, the English had their jazz moment in the 70s when they got into jazz funk, and you had like Nucleus and all those lads kicking about. But no influences from Nucleus on this particular track, thankfully. But yeah, so we had these piano lines. One of the piano lines we eventually switched over to a marimba, but again, very sort of fiddled with, so that it sounds. I keep saying fiddled with. I should bring up. Hold on, let me actually bring up the track again.
Let me actually get my fiddle and show you.
Let me get my fiddle. But we used you know, some bit crushing on it again. So I say we, but I essentially fiddled with the sound until it sounded like something that a servo could sing, I guess. Something that a piece of machinery could sing. Because
I had to look up what a servo is. Could you just explain in one or two lines what exactly a servo is?
A servo is, well, I keep saying servos because it sounds vaguely robotic. I think a servo is like it's a robotic sound, not a sound.
Well, I googled it earlier. They're machines. You're totally right. They're machines, but I didn't know what that was like an hour ago. But I guess I know what you're talking about. That bit crusher sound. It almost sounds like the hydraulic movements of a blockbuster robot. It's like, but like kind of very high pitched.
Yeah. So like it's the movements of a robot. It's a kind of a very high pitched sound. It's a sound which kind of has a lot of character to it. I've even seen sort of servo. You get servo orchestras where somebody's like taken a whole bunch of hard drives, lined them up, and got them to play Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
Or similar.
I saw a Radiohead cover done with like printers and hard drive sounds and that kind of stuff. I think they did Nude with like the sound of a hard drive being read or something. Okay, that's quite interesting. That's quite a cool, unique angle.
I have some bad news though, which is I think my audio cut out in the middle of that. Hold on, I'll do it again. So a servo is essentially a part of a robot that sort of does an action, or it kind of does a movement. And when we were kind of creating the sound, we wanted it to sound like a servo a little bit. there you can get them, you can get like orchestras of servos now. So like somebody will play Smells Like Teen Spirit on 50 dead hard drives from computers and this sort of thing. So it's a way of kind of making music, but with like robot parts. So in lieu of servos, I just used some chorus, some tape delay, and a bit crusher to kind of crush this marimba sound into something that sounded like it would come out of a servo.
Okay. That's good. That is grand. I think we've got enough there. I'm going to definitely look up that Nirvana orchestra cover. What did you mean by the next one, rhythm section pointillism?
Oh yeah, so this was more in part 2, but then this was again when we were sort of building up, because each part was sort of building upon the last part. So when it came to,
this is actually a different. This is the other track that you mentioned.
Yes, so this would be Patience, or no, yeah, Patience. There's Patience and Purpose. So they were all building up to Pandemonium, these tracks, which was when the world would sort of fall apart in on itself as the grand conspiracy of the podcast kind of revealed itself. But as we were sort of building up the rhythm section, it was kind of, again, trying to use these servo sounds, like trying to make it sound as digital as possible, trying to make it sound as kind of inorganic as possible, but also trying to make as much rhythm as possible without actually succumbing to kind of a boom clap, basically. Mm-hmm. So we've kind of got this this hi-hat that's just going and a couple of little toms that sound like they come straight from what are the German lads with the little craft work. There we go. German lads.
I think if you say the German lads who make electronic music, I think everybody knows.
The German lads who make electronic music.
The German lads. So, oh yeah, those little toms are great. Those little electronic toms, almost like a 909 or 606 or something.
Yeah, they were wonderful with their toms. They just had the chopsticks, and they were just bouncing on the very nice Roland 808s or whatever they were using. So yeah, so I say pointillism. This was a concept my friend Orist introduced me to, which was it's kind of making beats as but with like the bare essentials of it, like making sure that you're not using like too much or too little, just enough beats in order to kind of justify dancing to it. So yeah, so in terms of that rhythm section, it was very bare essentials. Of course, this all went out the window when Pandemonium happened, because that's when we brought in the heavy artillery. We had this kind of boom bap, is what I've got here. It was a heavy metal preset on Logic, I think, but with just as much kind of reverb as one could legally get away with. I don't know if there's a. There should be.
Before the convolution police start rapping at your door. Huh?
Yeah, before the convolution police start rapping at your door, and it kind of reverberates through the whole house. Yeah, so as much reverb as we could legally get away with, and as much tape delay as I could put on the snare, while again remaining within legal parameters. And then we were kind of going back and forth on this final track for quite a while, trying to sort of get it to a place where it was perfect. We had this kind of piano that was coming back in. It's actually the first time you hear piano on the 3 tracks, and it's kind of going ba-dun-dun. You've got the everything is sort of building up in this huge crescendo, And then I was like, right, I need something to really kind of nail this home. And I'm a big fan of an Australian band called Pond, who wrote a song called Giant Tortoise. And I always love this song just because, I apologize, I gave you 3 influences that I had for this music, and then I've gone, yeah, no, but then also there were all this other thing.
No, that's
But
shoehorn them in where they need to be. That's what I do.
The Giant Tortoise just had this huge, like, soul evaporating bass line, and I was like, how soul evaporating a bass line can I come up with? And I was just, playing around with, these big, bass sounds and trying to get something. And then it was only when I put a phase distorter on it, and that was when it all just came together. Basically, it was just wow. And like, even when it was like settled down, you could just hear it kind of humming and trying to escape its like parameters.
Okay. That's the bass line you're talking about there. I can lock that in there. So Pond, Giant Tortoise as an influence. Cool.
Yes.
Okay, that's all great. I got good stuff. I just need basically some like some sort of lines just to set up what you've been telling me. And make it clear what we're referring to now. So could I get you to say basically just introduce the idea that there's this other track you wrote, because you talked about pointillism in Purpose, was it? The one that
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so could I just get you to say, so I wrote another piece for this, for Among the Stars and Bones called Purpose, and it kind of serves as this introduction to the piece with, Pandemonium, which you're discussing today. Just something like introduce the track called Purpose.
So I wrote another track for Among the Stars and Bones. It's kind of a sister track called Purpose, which was a sort of introduction to Pandemonium, and sort of a piece to bring us from Patience, which is the 3rd track, and Pandemonium, which is the last track, and so Purpose sort of is where things start to kind of gain their rhythm, and so it needed some rhythm.
Cool, that's good. And then that's a good segue. So, and then the rhythm, while you're mentioning rhythm, something like I took an approach towards rhythm based on the art style pointillism, which uses the bare minimum to convey, just try and draw that connection between, like pointillism with the pen, they draw like complex stuff. You know what pointillism is, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So try to draw the connection between the art style and the music. That'd be good.
So a friend of mine introduced me to pointillism. Oh no! Oh God! Why is it paused? Let me get that going again. Oh, I can't trust Pro Tools. I used to trust it, and now I've only lost like literally. I literally caught it while it was pausing. So I do apologize about that. So, but yes, I was inspired by pointillism, the sort of the art style where you kind of draw lots of kind of little dots, and then it kind of creates a sort of a grander picture from kind of very simple kind of movements of the pen. When it came to sort of writing the rhythm section, it was again using these sort of as little as possible to accentuate as much as one could with as little as possible.
That's great. Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. What we can do before we exit this section, and we're almost done basically, is you've got a whole bunch of these stems. So
yes.
I'm going to do like a rapid fire thing. So I'll actually play them back for you. Let me just find out, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear pretty well, I think.
Can you hear the stems if I play them back here?
Yes.
Okay, a little bit, maybe a bit soft, but there you go. Okay, that's Eternal Bubbles. We've done that. But could I just give you like maybe 1 or 2 lines for each one? Like really just what we're doing here is we're playing back stems as an excuse to draw the listener in and to draw their what they're hearing in the background. So for example, big retro synth, you could just say whatever, this sounds like like a jazzy, swirly chord sounds.
Yeah.
This one's called Big Retro Synth. And what we're doing is we're just going through all the stems, and we should be done with them all in 2 minutes. And just have you use one or two things. If there's some good stuff, then I include it, and that gives us a nice chunk of listening time. How's that sound?
All right.
All right, cool. So over to Big Retro Synth. 1 or 2 lines.
Yeah, the Big Retro Synth. I love this sound. This was the sound that came straight from Wolf 359 for me. This was just beautiful, swirling, and these chords which are kind of, you've got this safe home chord, and then this slightly I felt like Boris Johnson saying this. Oh, you've got this big safe chord, and then you've got the slightly more what's the word there? But there's a bit of trepidation in that second chord.
Okay, cool. That's great. Oh, before I forget, could you just intro this whole section? Say we're going to do like a rapid fire stem breakdown. So I'll play you some of the parts from the songs, and I'll comment as we go.
Yeah. So we're going to do a quick breakdown of the various stems in Pandemonium. Pandemonium using all the stems, which is, there's so many stems. It's so good.
Here's the break bass. I think you mentioned this one already.
Yes.
That's fine. We got that. Electric marimba. You've talked about that. You've talked about that. Grand Clock Strikes 10.
Grand Clock Strikes 10. This was for the final of Pandemonium. We had this ticking sound that had been going on throughout the whole piece, and we were like, right, final episode, the final stretch, the clock strikes 10. You've got to have that sound in there. So we we fussed it with some bit crushing and some tape delay. I think this is just a sound that I got from Freesound on the Creative Commons Zero. So shout out to Freesound for the majority of my professional career.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be able to say that. That's a great shot. And I'll just reference what they're hearing. So like this piece, this is one called Off Kilter Ticks or something like that. Just mention that that's the name of what they're hearing.
Cool. This is Off Kilter Ticks. The piece itself is a waltz, so it's in 1, 2, 3. And it's 120 BPM. So when we were trying to find, we wanted to have the sound of a ticking clock again to kind of give that sense of tension. It creates the most beautiful off-kilter sound though, because it ticks on the first beat, the third beat, and then the second beat of the second bar, which kind of, it sort of sways you in a slightly off-kilter way with the rest of the piece.
Cool, that's great. And I think we've got the rest of it. We've got the rest of the stuff you mentioned. We won't have to repeat that, so that's good. I'm going to skip challenges because I just think we've got enough from that. Sorry, I know that's probably your favorite thing as someone.
No, that's fine.
The shoegaze thing, as someone who owns 27 guitars. But that's all good. There's this insights part. Was there anything, you've mentioned the ticking clock, you've mentioned 3 themes?
Yeah, so we've mentioned the 3 themes. I've done the ticking clock bit now. I guess I can say the Big Retro Synth used to be a guitar part, but Chris's brother is in a shoegaze band, and he was like, if I hear another second of shoegaze, I'm going to fall apart, which is kind of funny because Pond is a shoegaze band, and so I still took influences from shoegaze. I'm sorry, Chris. I own 27 guitars. What can I say?
I'm sorry. This is how I tell you, man. I fess up on podcasts and hope that you'll hear them. That's just how I.
I'm sorry that it took so long I had to make a podcast with another dude before I told you, Chris.
I'm sorry that you're hearing this in 2020.
2 years after we made it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Please forgive me, Chris.
This is my website, imsorry.com/Chris. Okay. It's getting silly now. Great. This is fine. I think we've got basically everything we need. Is there anything you want to add or anything burning before we do the housekeeping?
No, I think that's everything. I think I've spoken more about this track now than I've ever thought about it. So it's
that's cool. That's the way we roll here. Like go dive deep into the obscure world of audio drama music. Cool. Then it's time to just basically read through the outro script, the intro script, and the outro script. So yeah, over to you. And then imagine while you're reading it, I'm gonna have your music playing under the background, so you can try and like feel the music through the script or whatever.
Nice. So okay. The piece of music we're listening to in the background is called Pandemonium. This is a theme from Among the Stars and Bones. Today we'll break it down and get into why and how it was made. You're listening.
Sorry to.
Oh.
I hate doing that, but I have to just change the script quickly to just mention.
Oh, sure.
Among the Stars and Bones is an audio drama about the discovery of an ancient alien empire. Does that sound about right?
Yes. I'm just going to double check. Let me just double check what the Among the Stars and Bones website says about it.
Oh no, I've got it here. I've got the copy. It's fine.
Oh, cool, perfect. Then yes.
About a team of xenoarchaeologists. Let's make it actually sounds a lot better in their words. Audio drama about a team of
xenoarchaeologists investigating alien ruins on distant worlds.
There you go. That's good. Yeah, the other way sounded like they discovered the actual live aliens. Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
On distant worlds. Today we'll break it down, get into how and why and how to make. Cool. Over to you.
Okay. The piece of music we're listening to in the background is called Pandemonium. It's a theme from Among the Stars and Bones, an audio drama about a team of xenoarchaeologists investigating alien ruins on a distant world. Today we'll break down and get into why and how it was made.
Just to that last line one more time. Today we'll break it down.
Oh, break it down. Today we'll break it down and get to why. Today we'll break it down and get into why and how it was made. I love doing voiceovers.
You do well.
You're listening to How I Make Music, where audio drama composers get. You're listening to How I Make Music, where audio drama composers get to tell their own stories. In this show, we break apart the music of fictional podcasts and take a trip into how it was made. My name is Oliver Morris. I'm a podcaster and composer from Bedfordshire, and this is How I Make Music. Welcome back to How I Make Music. Pandemonium from this audio drama, Among the Stars and Bones, by me, Oliver Morris. Thanks for listening in.
Cool. Let's do this one line again. In this show, we break apart the music of a fictional podcast and take
cool. In this show, we break apart the music of a fictional podcast and take a trip into how it was made.
Perfect. And then the last one, welcome back, Pandemonium from the audio drama by me, Oliver Morris.
Cool. Welcome back to How I Make Music. Pandemonium from the audio drama Among the Stars and Bones by me, Oliver Morris. Thanks for listening in.
Spot on. Awesome.
Yes.
Just check the script for this last section. Check the comment. Listen. This is the easy to sorry, check my work. Yeah, recorded episode. Yeah, and there's an opportunity for you to add a plug in here if you want. This is the outro script, so you can, if you want to. I know you've got. Do you want to push Kane and Fields here?
Yeah, I'll push. I'll give a push to Kane and Fields.
All right, cool. Just basically just one line saying I've got another podcast where just go check it out, or follow the links in the show notes, or check out the show notes to give that a listen.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Right. That's about it for this week's episode. We'll listen to the full composition in just a moment, but before we do that, thank you for listening to How I Make Music. Catch new episodes on howimakemusic.com or wherever else you listen to podcasts. We've been listening to the music featured in the audio drama called Among the Stars and Bones. To hear the full story or to check out my other work, follow the links in the show notes. I recommend Cane and Fields. We video recorded this episode, much to my horror. Check it out and support the musicians of audio drama by becoming a patron at patreon.com/howimakemusic. Top tier patrons get a mention right here in the credits of every episode. How I Make Music is created by John Bartman. For audio experiences that keep people listening, contact John Bartman via the show notes. And now, here's Pandemonium, the theme in its entirety. My name is Oliver Morris, and thanks for listening to How I Make Music. Catch you next time.
Excellent. Can we just get one more of the check it out and support the musicians of audio drama by becoming a patron? Just pronounce it patreon.com.
Patreon, yeah.
Patreon.com/howimakemusic. I think just left the
Oh, cool.
Cool. Over to you.
Check it out and support the musicians of audio drama by becoming a patron at patreon.com/howimakemusic.
Superb work there, my friend. I love your work.
Know what is.
And then just one or two takes of those pickups and we're done. So just here, take a listen to it, that kind of thing.
Here, take a listen. Take a listen to it. Have a listen to this. Here, take a listen. Listen to this. Have a listen to this one. Yeah, this one now. Take a listen to this one. Listen to this. How about this? Have a listen to this one. Kind of starting to feel like Matt Berry here.
Yes.
Have a listen.
Yes, a Matt Berry fan. Fantastic. So corny, man.
Have a listen to this one.
What is that thing where from Dark Place he's like, poach an egg, put it in a can of baked beans, and serve it up with a pot pie. Something like that. It's like bachelor dinner, you know. I love Matt Berry. He's so great.
Excellent. Have a listen to this one. All right, there we go. I think that's as many times as I can say it while still sounding like a human being.
We're going to have a listen. We'll do the bonus episode, which is 40 minutes of you going, have a listen.
Have a listen.
Dude, that is all so fantastic, man. This has been a really fun and pretty well done episode. I've got everything.
Groovy.
Yeah. If I need plug-in, what do they call them, pickups or stuff, I can just
just bounce them over to me and I'll do them.
Oh well, there we go. Let's just end this video and then we can have a little chat to say goodbye. Thank you.
Cool.
Not watching behind the scenes of this recording, and say goodbye, Oliver.
Goodbye, Oliver. Wait.
Bye.